Welcome to Art and Conversation, where creativity meets the courage to share. I'm Matty, and every episode we connect stories one dot at a time to normalize talking about mental health and celebrate many forms of human creativity. So today I'm joined by Nicole.
Hello.
Hi. And she has a background in speech therapy.
Tick.
Tick. So, Nick, we're going to start off with painting. So behind us we have this painting where we had started off painting with Emily, and we need to try and finish off as much as possible the rest of the background.
Okay.
Just to show you, let me show you how it's supposed to look as a final. This is what we're trying to achieve.
Okay.
Okay. But today we're just trying to finish off the black
Okay.
background as much as possible. Here's a brush.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it has a bit of paint. Black paint. So I want to start off with how you're feeling today. You can be honest.
Okay. Mostly excited. A little bit nervous.
Okay.
But I wouldn't say anxious. So that's good.
That's good. But why are you nervous?
I've never done, I think, anything like this apart from home videos from when I was really, really young.
And I really am curious. So when I asked you at first you were a bit hesitant, and then after a couple of weeks, maybe a month, you're like, actually, I want to give it a go. And I was really happy you said yes, because I don't really want to force people to come here. So let's start painting, and maybe you can tell me a bit why you changed your mind. But
I need to not cover stuff, right?
So try and not cover. Go around. You can try and. It's okay if you cover a little bit. It's not the end of the world. So we're not using water. You know, some people use water.
Okay.
Okay, and
I'm gonna follow you.
Okay, you can take one side and just go ahead and fill in the white bits.
Okay.
We'll try to do 15 minutes, half an hour of this.
There's no swearing, right?
If you want to swear, no, just be yourself, and then we can either bleep it out.
Okay.
Okay, and the point is we're doing this to like relax.
Well, to be fair, because of my work, I work with kids, so I'm used to not swearing.
So Nick, tell me a little bit of your thought process when I approached you, and like what happened after those couple of weeks. What was that thought process? And you're like, okay, actually I want to give it a go.
So my character, I would say, whenever someone would approach me with something like this, my instinct would always be to say no straight away and not even consider it.
Why?
Because it's anything that would put me out of my comfort zone, you know, like I'm always like this with any new responsibilities or a change. If it's something I know is coming, like obviously for like graduating university, the next step was to get a job, right? To get a job in speech therapy. So I had standards for what I wanted in that job, but once I was offered the opportunity to work as a speech therapist, obviously I went for it. But that's something I had been preparing for. This is something that's completely out of my element. It's something I would never normally do. So.
And what's scary about this, like this invitation? What was
the fact that the conversation's being recorded. I love conversations. I love going into the deep feelings and discussing things. And I feel like overall I'm quite a good communicator. But it's being recorded. So that's something that's for me not normal, you know?
Fair enough, but I'm glad you took that step to do something.
And then I decided to go for it because these past few months, there are things going on that are leading to new opportunities, or I don't know, like diversifying my role a little bit. And again, my instinct is to always say no to something new, but I know I need to get out of that comfort zone, otherwise I'm always going to be stuck. So this is one of the things that
you're taking on as your challenge. And it's a good challenge.
I want to try, and to be fair, it's not that scary.
No, it's not. I'm your friend.
Exactly. Imagine doing it with a stranger.
Yeah. Just a little bit of background. So we've known each other since we were kids of each other. We were always acquainted, like we knew each other. We were on the same van.
To go to school.
To go to school. And then we reconnected maybe 2 years ago through your husband.
Exactly.
And ever since then we got closer and closer. And I was like, wow, I love reconnecting with you, especially knowing you from a kid and from now. I was like, wow, how much we grow as human beings. How old are you? I forgot.
I'm turning 28 this month.
I'm 30. I like that. I like that you're pushing yourself outside your comfort zone as well.
Maybe it's to do with the fact that I'm turning 30 soon, eh?
That
The
pushes
30s
you.
are approaching, so I need to grow up.
I mean, if you don't push yourself, then life might just end up being a little bit boring if you don't go outside those comfort zones. Nick, I will have a really interesting, for me, I'm really curious to why you chose speech therapy.
Speech therapy. So it wasn't something that I always knew I wanted to be. Mostly because I didn't really know about it, or I had never thought about it, I guess. But when I was about 16 or 17 years old, I was really considering going to university. For me was never a choice, it was just a part of life, right?
Part of your family.
Yes, it was. And then I don't think my family ever put pressure on it, but I don't know, like for me, I always knew that I was going to get to at least that part of my life. I just didn't know what I was going to study.
Okay.
So then at about 16, 17 years old, obviously it's getting closer and closer, and I realized I had to figure out what I want to do. And I literally went on the university website and I went through the list of courses, and that's in alphabetical order. And speech therapy isn't listed as speech therapy, it's listed as communication therapy.
Okay.
So that's quite high up. And as soon as I saw it, I'm like, communication therapy. When I clicked it, I realized the speech therapy, and I literally had like a ding moment. Like, yes, that's, like a puzzle fit. In uni, I mean, I always did quite well in school, but it was always effortful. I always studied quite hard and I took my exams seriously. In that regard, I was a very easy child to have, I feel. But then when uni came along, that's the first time that I was really studying something that I was really enjoying, and passion came out, basically. I think it's the first time I ever experienced passion in university.
When you were studying
Speech therapy.
Okay. How old were you? You need to give a timeline of your age.
19. I was 19 because in order to get into speech therapy, I changed some of my subjects at junior college, sixth form. So I entered uni a year later. And again, that was, once I realized that that's what I had to do, I didn't stress about it or anything. It was just an obvious next step. Then in uni, like the more I learned about what speech therapy is and the people that we help and treat, basically. And then we started placements as well in second year. And placements are where once a week you go into the government clinics. First you're observing speech therapy sessions, and then eventually you're doing them. And although it was quite nerve-wracking, like the more placements I did, the more I knew like I could really picture myself doing it. So literally from that moment, I can still remember it so clearly, the moment when I saw the words communication therapy, it was just all obvious next steps.
Like, I want to do...
I have to do it almost.
I have to do
like
it.
It's
okay. I like that. I like that. I said something in the last episode, because I looked at it, and I said something about this project. And I told Emily, it wasn't I wanted to, I had to do it.
Exactly.
So I like that.
Obviously, it's not have to, because there are people who are forced to do things, right?
Yes, but
this is something like you want it, and it's not just about want.
It's like something you feel like it will make you feel like you have a purpose.
Yes, very much.
I get that. That's beautiful. I love that. I never knew that about you.
I feel very, very lucky. Because I know for some people their work is just work, Yeah. And although I do have hard weeks or hard days, at the end of the day, I know I'm always really happy doing what I'm doing. So I feel very privileged, as cheesy as that is.
No, that's beautiful. That is really great. It's interesting because I wanted to tackle a little bit with you because I've always known you to be very academic, and I know your family. Mentioned, and even today you've mentioned that your family is very academically inclined to push, like your whole family is probably pushed that direction. But I'm glad that it didn't demotivate you because, for example, someone like me, if someone had to push me academically, I'd probably do.
Yes.
I wouldn't like succeed.
No, I mean, you know, there were always the moments where if I do well in an exam, I was praised. I don't think I was ever praised so much I never felt like I had to do well, otherwise I wouldn't be valuable, you know?
Yeah.
So thankfully it was never that case. If anything, it was more of a competition with myself. Like in university, it's actually when I failed my only ever exam in university, one exam. And I failed it because it was a very, very difficult topic for me. It was about neuro.
What's neuro?
Studying the brain.
Oh, I see.
And very basic. So if you're going to compare it to what doctors study, it's like a tiny percentage. But we don't really go into that. It's just the way the communication therapy course is. They really try to give you a good background on everything, like how the mouth works, how digestion works, because part of our job is swallowing disorders, you know, psychology. So there's a good overview, and obviously the brain is connected. So they try to give you but it's a topic that I really, really, really struggled with. I had Luke's sister. Luke is my husband. I had his sister helping me a bit with it because she's actually a neurologist. So I had everything to help, you know, but I think it was my second neuro exam, or maybe my first one, because I think we had about 3 in total. And when I failed it for 1 mark. And I cried.
Like, no, how can this be?
Wow, I felt like such a failure. I took it really, really badly.
And you put that on yourself?
I did. And I remember when I found out I was home alone, and I think I either called my dad first or he happened to call right when it happened. And he could barely understand me. Obviously, he thought something really horrible happened. And then I'm like, I failed neuro. And he's like, it's okay, you'll do it again. And I was like, I don't want to do it again. But again,
fair enough.
It was never an option to drop out of the course because I wanted it so much. So obviously I had to do it again.
Okay, I'm going to touch base on this a little bit. So it's interesting because there's a lot of, so not everyone thinks the same, but there is a majority of kids who put a lot of pressure on themselves. Sometimes it's their parents and sometimes it's self-inflicted.
I think it was self-inflicted in my case.
And
I don't know.
I think you're not like that anymore. I think you actually give yourself, because I know you a little bit, I think you give yourself a bit more grace. I am very curious how, if you recall the point where you're like, I can't do this to myself anymore. I have to like be more graceful. Was there a point, a memory you have that?
I think, no, I don't think I've ever thought about it, to be fair.
But it just happened naturally.
It did happen naturally. I think it happened when I left academics. Because there was no longer, having a grade is such a tangible thing, you know, like if you get an 80, it's an 80 out of 100. There's nothing more specific than that. And once you start working, once you're no longer studying and doing exams,
you're no longer graded.
You know if you're succeeding or failing, because in my case, my clients either do well or they don't.
Yeah.
And I have had cases where the client seems to be, you know, we reach a plateau, but I think when I stopped being graded, something changed.
You kind of naturally was like, it's not all about this.
It's not all about grades. Life isn't about marks and points and whatever. Life is about experiences. Granted, you can have good ones and bad ones, but I don't know, for some reason, the grades always really, really got to me.
Yes.
Since then, I have continued studying, but short courses. so far, I don't think I've ever done anything with an exam since I left uni. And I'm not sure I want to do a master's, because so far the main reason I've always said is because I don't want to pigeonhole myself into one particular area. I see a lot of different kinds and I target a lot of different things, and I love that about my job. And I think part of the reason is that, but then a part of the reason is probably because I don't want to go back to the grading system ever again.
It's interesting. It's an interesting topic because I, for example, went to school at MCAS and we didn't really have exams. We had assignments. That really fit the way my brain works, really did well with that. But when I had come to grading and stuff, I used to put that. No one really did put pressure on me as a kid in my family, but I did put it on myself. I'm like, oh man, I can't. I'm not good like everyone is. Like I'm trying so hard.
And it's so easy to compare.
And it's really easy because
it's a mark. It
is a mark, but in reality, yeah, it's not about the grades, but it's about how you hold yourself, how you approach things. Because at the end of the day, when you leave academics, because you're going to academics so that you can give a service.
And work in the real world.
And in the real world, no one cares about the grade. Everyone cares about how you hold yourself, how you speak to the client, how you approach things. Yeah, well, that's interesting.
We did quite a bit.
We did.
I'm scared to go in the little nitty-gritty places, but I'm seeing you do it, so I'm gonna try.
But you see how I just lightly go over, so then after I can go with the pencil again and I can redraw it. It's fine if you go in.
Okay.
And you don't have to be an artist. You can be anyone. Just have fun. How are you feeling? Are you having fun? Or
yes, definitely.
Good. The next thing I want to really go into is how do you think creativity, well, the English there is really bad. How do you think creativity shows up in your life? How is creativity present in your life?
I would say that if I had to think about it in my day-to-day life, like not work life, I'm not sure there is much creativity from my end. I don't know, because I don't really, to me, creativity is stuff more towards art or music or stuff like that, right?
That's an answer. So if you look at creativity for you is
art. I think so. But because obviously I've thought a bit about it.
Okay.
I think in my work, then there is creativity. It's very different. And it's not related to art. But, okay, so I'm a pediatric speech therapist. So I work with kids. And I really believe that kids will learn and feel comfortable enough to communicate if they're in a playful environment, not a structured academic environment. I haven't always thought that. It's just through what I've experienced so far. I've done a couple of courses about that as well. So I feel like in order to target different goals, I'm constantly thinking about different creative ways to get to the end goal.
Especially with kids.
Especially with kids. And the easiest example would be that I'm constantly using toys, right, with kids. But I use toys in such different ways. Like the same toy will be used in a million different ways with different kids, targeting so many different things. And that's something that didn't come naturally to me. Because when I started out, if I had a fishing toy, I would see it as a toy. I would use it as a reward after we targeted whatever goal we had, right? But slowly, I started realizing, okay, if we're using this fishing toy, then I can use it to target the vocabulary around what we're doing. I can use it to target prepositions like the fish is in, now we take it out, stuff like that, you know. I can use it to target imaginary play, like, okay, what are we going to do once we catch the fish? Where are we going to put them? There's a million ways you can use one toy to target different things. Honestly, initially, it didn't come naturally to me at all. But now it's all I see when I look at toys.
It's amazing.
It's all I see. And even, I'm very lucky to have 3 nieces. And I love playing with them. And playing with them is very different from working, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think both my sister-in-laws have commented that they'll see me play with them and they'll be like, I never thought to do that with them. And it's because now I wouldn't say it's second nature, but it comes to me a lot more naturally than it used to. And I'm hoping that by time it'll become second nature.
I have to remember what we talked about.
Getting into speech therapy.
So how you got into speech therapy, so your origin story, how you got into speech therapy, how you navigated through academics and actually you loved it and there was no pressure and actually it all happened naturally. And that's beautiful, honestly, because some people really struggle. But when you know, I guess. And then we touched lightly how creativity shows up for you. And you mentioned how in your personal life you don't feel like it's there, if we talk about traditional creativity, but it does show up in your job. And actually, I was actually thinking of that before you showing up. I was like, if she can't think of it, I will tell her what it is. Because that's how I see creativity in your life as well, probably through the kids.
Yes.
Because obviously, as kids, we're the most creative. Did you think you were a creative child?
No.
You don't? So
no, I wasn't.
No.
I was so not a creative child that I can give you 2 really specific examples. The first one was creative writing. So I love reading.
Exactly.
But I used to really struggle with creative writing because to me it was, I had to tell the truth. And until I finally realized, after my mom had told me so many times, like, you can lie, you know, you have creative license, you can exaggerate, whatever, until I broke that barrier, and I don't think I ever truly did. That was really hard. And then another example of very ironically is that I was an only child for 7 years. My sister came when I was 7 years old. And I never knew how to play alone.
You never knew how to play alone?
No, I really struggled with it. I was constantly chasing after my parents, asking them to play with me, and they did, but obviously they couldn't spend the entire time playing with me. And then when my sister was born, I realized that you can't really play with a baby. Well, now I know that you can, but back then I didn't. So I only started properly playing, like either with someone or else with my sister when she grew a bit older. So I really struggled with creativity when I was a kid.
Oh, bless. Because I was also going to pick on how you love reading.
But that's been given to me, you know?
That's been given to you. You're not creating it yourself.
Yes.
But, yeah, it's been given to you. Because, for example, when I read, and this is another topic we talked about way back.
I think I know what you're going to say.
About what you imagine when you're reading.
Yes.
That as well, you're still, even though you're giving that information, you still are creating that in your head.
And that I can do quite well, I think. So when I was younger, especially, I used to get confused sometimes between whether I watched something or I read it because I could picture it so well. Now that doesn't really happen anymore, but I think because just my brain got better at
associating.
But when I'm reading, I see it. You know, I don't just, especially when I really get into it, I completely forget about the pages and the turning the page and the words themselves. It's just, so in a way that's kind of creative, I guess, but still, it's still being given to you.
Fair enough.
That's how I see it, at least.
But then I think what's beautiful with you, maybe this creativity and creating things and coming up with things don't come naturally to you, like maybe some other people. But what's beautiful about you is that you've fallen into this profession with kids, and they kind of have given you a gift.
Yes.
And they have reintroduced something.
And I learned from them so much.
I think that's really
really
nice.
learn from them.
I think you're in the right job for someone who probably never truly understood what creativity was. I think you fell into the right job.
Yes, I think so. That's true. And so, like, I do learn from the kids a lot. And something that this past year, I think it's really been clicking. I love going into their world. And it's a phrase you hear quite often, entering a child's world. But I think I only just started understanding it, especially when it comes to the neurodivergent clients, because I have a lot of autistic clients. And the way they play can be very different. But sometimes they will do things that really make me think, like, I don't know how they thought of it. Despite everything, because something a lot of autistic, especially kids, struggle with is imagining.
Autistic kids struggle with imagining.
Yes, because to them everything is rigid, everything is, if I give you this table and I tell you it's a table, then it's just a table. It can't be anything else. Everything has rules.
Okay, I didn't know this actually.
Obviously, I'm generalizing a bit.
Okay.
They do, it varies from child to child, but that tends to be quite typical of autistic kids. But then they will surprise you because you might show them something once. And even a child who you think is so stuck in their own world and not really paying attention to anything, they'll understand what you mean, and you'll notice that like 2 or 3 sessions later where you're doing something similar but not the same, and they will give it back to you.
Oh wow.
And it's something that I'm sure used to happen I haven't been working for that long. I think I've been working for about 5 years.
5 years is a good time. 5 years is a good start.
And I'm sure it used to happen in my earlier years as well, when I had just started working, but it's something I'm really noticing now. And when they give it back to you, when you give them something like that, like a way of playing, and then they give it back to you, usually in their own way. It won't be exactly how you did it, but they give it back to you. And then you can really understand how their mind works. And then when there's that moment where I would start playing in the way that they're playing, and they notice, and it's a really beautiful moment.
Oh, that's so nice. Do I have the patience to understand? I think I'm too much of a kid myself to play. Like, I'll be like, no.
But that's an advantage. No, I see myself as quite childlike.
Yes.
I get excited by toys.
Oh my goodness.
When we go shopping, like my husband loves charity shops, but he loves them to thrift clothes. I thrift toys.
To be honest, on the internet, I see a lot of people, a lot of adults now buying the toys they wanted when they were a kid. Like you see these adults, grown adults buying
because now you have your own money. And
yes,
you
you're like, oh my god, and you see the child in them coming out. I love that.
I think it's really sad when people lose the child.
I think it's the creativity, and you're like, but why? And I was curious. I thought we could have that conversation, but I think you're like discovering your inner child now.
Yes,
that's really interesting.
I think so. I'm definitely playing in ways I would have never played as a kid.
I think you're a bit like Benjamin Button. But it's true. Like your mind was so intricate, probably. It's and now it's like you're coming to that. I hope that wasn't.
No. I agree.
I think like your mind was very mature as a kid, and now you're like finding your inner child now, which is amazing. And then there are people who are their child. They are truly themselves as a child, and then they grow out of it, and they're like a very.
It's true. I never thought of it that way, but I 100% agree.
That's my creativity.
I don't have any diagnoses. I've never even been to therapy.
Really? Amazing.
That's something that needs to change, to be fair, because I think everyone needs therapy. So what I'm saying is just from what I think, right? Yeah. I think I am quite an anxious person. Not anxious enough to say that I weren't an actual diagnosis or anything, but I do have some anxious tendencies. Case in point, probably why I tend to avoid things that are new or challenging,
But before you continue, what does mental health mean to you?
Mental health to me is, the state of your mind and your being, in the sense that how comfortable you are with living life.
You don't necessarily have to have a diagnosis to take care of your
No,
mental
you
well-being.
don't. But I feel very uncomfortable, scared to say like I have anxiety when I don't have anxiety disorder, you know. I just suffer
No.
from anxiety sometimes.
Yes, I think we all have those moments.
Yes. So definitely everyone can have periods of bad mental health. Like, so for me, the worst period I would say was right when I graduated and before I found my job. Because I graduated, well, not graduated, but I finished my exams and everything. It was about May, I think. And then I started working as a speech therapist in January. And there was that period of time because I knew I didn't want to work with certain groups of people or in certain places. Like, for example, I knew I wanted to be a pediatric speech therapist. I had a very specific idea in mind, and I wanted to wait until I found the right opportunity, basically. And thankfully, realistically, January wasn't too far away. That's less than a year, and I'm really happy because I'm still there. Basically, I'm still working at that same place, and I'm really happy where I am. But that in between moment was honestly, I think,
How long were you?
the worst time. I entered uni at 19 and it's 4 years, so 23. Like I was very aware of how little I was smiling or when I would laugh at a joke and it was very superficial. I was really, really aware of it.
Really aware or unaware?
Aware. I was really aware of how everything felt fake and forced. And for some reason, I didn't talk to people about it.
Why?
I talked to people about it after it passed.
That's good. Let's talk about that. Because I want to connect the dots with people who feel the same way.
Okay.
This is the point of this conversation.
Okay.
So
I get it.
you had the point.
Now.
Now I get it.
Yes.
You had the point where you felt it's we don't have to be an extreme. It doesn't have to be an extremity of mental health, right? It just can be anxiety, and you don't feel like you want to bother someone. But I want to know, like, why didn't you, like, at that time?
I think I didn't really tell anyone the extreme of it because that would have been admitting it to myself, probably. I still do that to this day. Like if something is stressing me out, I think it's a coping mechanism, which sometimes is good, to be fair.
Sometimes, yeah.
I like don't think about it too much. Like for example, doing this today, it's something that was making me a bit nervous.
Okay, fair enough.
But I only thought about it. You had sent me the brief, so I thought about it obviously when I was reading that, and I thought about it a bit afterwards. But then I didn't stay thinking about like how anxious I am or whatever. I just kind of put it to the back of my mind. So in some ways, I think it's a good coping strategy.
Sometimes that anxiety is actually excitement.
Yes.
The possibility of, that makes me feel a certain way.
And this is something I actually say a lot. Whenever someone's feeling anxious, I tell them, no, don't say you're anxious, say you're excited. Because you can change. I really believe you can change.
It's true, it is all a mindset at the end of the day.
But back then, I don't know. I have it, if I had spoken to someone about that, because that was a really long time. From May to January, that's over 6 months.
Yeah, that's a long time.
So I'm sure it would have helped and people would have told me like, I'm sure it's gonna work out. Worst case, if I don't know, like a year passes, you still don't have a job, maybe you can give in a little to something you don't really want to do, you know? But I don't know, the unknown, I also didn't want to give in because like I said, I had my standards. I knew exactly what I wanted.
You're hard-headed.
Yes, I was very hard-headed.
Oh,
I've always been very hard-headed.
Bless you. Yes, I mean, I can be hard-headed too. But I think what kept you going probably was a good support system.
Yes, it was there. It was also COVID time back then. We were still living at home, so I was constantly surrounded by my family and back then he was my fiance. He was living with us as well. So having him there all the time, that's helped because I was in my safe space.
Fair enough. Oh, Nicole. That's so sweet. I love it when you talk about it. That's really sweet. Okay. And then what happened? What was that point where everything was okay? Because you've got the job and that
Yes.
everything kind of settled.
And even the possibility. So in December, my friend sent me the job opening. It was a post on Facebook. And as soon as she sent it to me, and I saw, okay, look, it's possible. What I want is possible. So even after just applying, I had already felt so much better. And then I got an email. Thankfully, my manager, she emailed me like 1 or 2 days later. It was the Christmas holidays. And she offered me an interview. And again, like more was, because I knew that even if I didn't get it, at least, you know, there was a possibility. And if that possibility exists somewhere, it has to exist in other places as well. And then in January, I got the job.
Oh,
so
I like that story.
Me too.
I'm glad it worked out. If you look back now, would you have done something differently The thing is, you really did sound like you had a really good support system, but imagine you didn't.
But okay.
Well, would you have reached out?
I mean,
I feel like a lot of Maltese people.
I mean, they were right there and I still didn't tell them, you know? So imagine if they weren't there for some reason. I think I would have
I don't know.
Gone crazy, probably.
Just knowing that they're there sometimes. I think it's just knowing that
it wasn't enough because it was still a really hard 6 months or whatever, how long it was. But knowing that they were there did help.
And now talking about it now.
Yes, and even I remember like telling my husband about it. And I told him, not even when I got the job, I told him like
months later.
Months, maybe even over a year later.
And what did he say?
He's like I think I had noticed that obviously you weren't. But I think he probably assumed it was COVID time or whatever, you know.
Everyone was like a bit low.
Everyone was a bit low.
Okay.
It was a very strange period of life.
Yes, it was.
But I told me like talking about it always helps.
It does.
Always helps.
I mean, maybe there's no solution, but at least.
But when you open up, because then there have been other periods of my life when something was bothering me, and as soon as you talk to someone about it, even if there's no solution, but just talking to someone about it helps.
That's off my chest. Now it's your.
But you have to acknowledge it within yourself, to talk to someone about it.
Stop being hard-headed.
With myself, with yourself.
From your story, from your origin and everything, it sounds like you really had a good support system.
Yes, I think I always have. Something that's changed kind of, not recently, within my support system is my sister. Because she's my younger sister, right? 7 years that's a big gap. And for a very long time, she was my little sister, someone I had to protect, someone I take care of, not who can take care of me. But when was it? It's really changed when we were abroad a year before I got married. So 2021 it was. So that was about 4 years ago. And me and her had a conversation. And I realized how much I had grown up and, you know, I realized she was someone you could really have a conversation with. Not just talk to, but, you know, be listened to and offered advice from. And since then, she's grown even more. And she's also studying psychology, so there's that. But she's a big part of my support system.
Sisters are great.
I don't know what I'd do without her.
I have myths that we can debunk, okay? And I'm going to play around with 1 or 2 of them with you, and I want you to rebut it or whatever.
Okay.
So, by the way, these myths or these quotes I'm going to say are things that people actually still think to this day.
Okay.
So we're here to tackle them a little bit.
It's going to get heated.
I like it. I didn't invent these, but I will be ready for the impact anyway.
Okay.
So, myth 1. I don't know if you have an opinion. If you don't, we can skip it, okay? Children don't experience mental health issues. They just act out.
Oh. No, I mean, I've seen firsthand kids who are very anxious. Very, very recently, I met a kid who doesn't really know vocab category colors. It's something he should be a bit more familiar with at his age. And to be fair, this isn't something that's present in most kids, but some kids do experience it where they're aware that other kids might know it and he doesn't.
Yeah.
And we were like playing and talking about books, and he was the sweetest kid, really, really, really happy kid. And as soon as I asked him about colors, his face changed and his attitude changed because he knows that it's something he's not comfortable with. So maybe not all kids would be as aware, self-aware, but some kids definitely.
I think, I believe, so I might be wrong. I think all kids are very aware of everything. For example, there's the first couple of years, the kids really observe.
But don't forget that I work with kids
You work with a
who
variation
might
of,
not be typical.
true.
So that awareness might come in quite late for some of the kids.
Fair enough.
It's something I comment on a lot to parents, and it's a really big turning point when they start becoming more alert and they start, it's okay for them to have their own world because their own world is their comfort space sometimes.
Yes.
But I have kids who are genuinely locked in their own world. And that's affecting everything because if you're just paying attention to what you're doing, you're not listening to language, so you're not going to learn language possibly. You're not seeing what others are doing, so you're not going to want to imitate them, and imitation is a big way of learning for kids.
Yeah.
And that's something I refer to it as alertness. I tell the parent, look, he's becoming a lot more alert, he's becoming a lot more responsive. Something as basic as calling out their name and having them look at you or react in any way, you know? These are things that don't come naturally to some of the kids that I see. So I wouldn't say that all kids...
I get it. Man, I've just realized something you just said touched me. I wish I had my tissues because I might cry. You really are, it's so, where I could cry. I need 5 minutes. Okay, I was gonna say, something you said really touched me, really. Because if they can't feel certain things, you feel it for them.
Yes. Yes.
That's what touched me.
So much.
And that's like, wow, at least, it's so beautiful because at least if they can't feel it straight away, at least you feel it for them and somehow you can guide them towards that feeling.
And a lot of the times it's not just... So another myth, if I can come up with one myself.
Yes, you can. We can like be creative. We're tackling things that people think, and we want to kind of like bring awareness of.
Yes. So sometimes people might say that autistic children and people don't have feelings, or they don't experience feelings like us. They don't have empathy. That's something I read really recently, that autistic people can't experience empathy. And it's really not true. I'm telling you, even the kids who are locked in their own world, they still have feelings. They just show them in a different way. And there are moments where a kid will be experiencing something. A lot of the times it's, for example, lack of control. And they don't know how to deal with that. They don't know how to process that. And it's not obvious to the people around them that that's what they're feeling. And as soon as you manage to lock in with them and connect with them and acknowledge what they're feeling, and they understand that they're being understood, it's a really intimate moment, and it's a really big moment. And from that moment on, things get easier. And sometimes I have to be like the in-between, between the kid and the parent. Obviously, a lot of parents go through periods of denial or questioning, and it's very natural. And then that moment where you're helping them understand why their child is doing what they're doing and what it means when they're doing it, and they understand it, honestly, everything changes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a big part of my job. It doesn't happen very often because it takes time. It takes a certain familiarity, you know. And also, a lot of my clients tend to be long-term clients, so I don't have a lot of changeover because I wouldn't say it's sad, but I don't discharge very regularly because a lot of them will need therapy, you know, for a very long time. But the therapy goals will constantly be changing. It's something I really like about my job, actually. That's, you know, that
Yes.
relationship, the building of the
I like
relationship.
that. Oh my goodness, Nicole. I like this conversation because I got to know you a bit more.
I feel like I'm getting to know myself a bit more.
I think, like you said, you're pushing yourself in uncomfortable situations because with something inside you is telling you need to explore a little bit more about yourself and why you do certain things, probably.
Yes. It would be very hypocritical of me to constantly be pushing these children to do things that they don't want to do and then me not doing the same thing.
Exactly. So to conclude, over here, I have a question I want to ask everyone at the end of every episode. I don't know if... So there's two questions and you can choose one. So it's either what would you tell your younger self? But I feel like rather than your younger self, if you had a room of people who are taking the same path as you, what advice would you give them to keep on pushing through to where you are today? Or maybe to your future self?
Rely very heavily on your instincts. Sometimes I'll do something and I'm not sure why I'm doing it, and then it will click later why I've done that. And kids will really guide you. You have to let the kids guide you. In my case, the kids, right? Don't be afraid to let them take the lead. Obviously, they can't have full control because that's not realistic for anywhere. Like in this conversation, you had control because you're leading it, right? But obviously, you were letting me take over, and that's what life is. So we have... There's no adult and child. It's I'm an adult and they're a child, and we're gonna work together. And don't be, if I had to speak to people possibly following in this path, I would say don't be afraid to do things in your own way. Learn from others, for sure. I've learned a lot from other therapists, both in Malta, like people I've actually worked with, and even just from things I see online. But it's okay to do things your own way sometimes.
Nicole, thank you.
Thank you.
I think that's the end of of today's episode. I just want to let you know, if you don't know what the painting means, it just means that going through life is easier with someone rather than doing it on your own. And I hope that when you do things with people, that you know that some way, even if you're not really guiding them with some wisdom, that probably they appreciate that you're in the room.
Yes.
So
That's it.
really
Well
well
done. Thank you. I'm so happy we did it. Thank
And
you.
we're done. Good, you had fun, you feel good?
I'm really happy I did that. Fair.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm happy you came too and you did this. This is for you, by the way.
Thank you. I feel like I should have gotten you something.
Where is it?
Next time.